Hello everyone, this is my review of Betwixt Sunrise and Now, the authentic cut, written, directed, and produced by Francis Ford Coppola. Also, Val Kilmer is also in this movie, Ben Chaplin is in this movie, and Bruce Dern. And what's interesting about this movie, it's about an author that's unfulfilled. He goes to this town that's historically haunted. There was something to be uncovered here. The town sheriff keeps telling Hall Baltimore about this murder that happened, about this pastor who murdered his 8 children because he thought he was hanging out with the people that are over the lake, which are the bad people, which are the ghouls and the vampires, yada, 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 right? Well, what's interesting about this movie is that within these dreamscapes that he has, he starts to uncover what actually happened here, but also what he's actually supposed to write to give him a little bit of ambition and drive. And the sheriff keeps trying to put his own spin on the story, but what really starts happening is that he starts getting swept more and more into these dreamscapes. And it's so incoherent the way that the story is being portrayed, but also at the same time, there is some beauty and eloquence within the dreamscapes being so smoky, being iridescent, almost kind of like a dream that you have that you don't quite remember. I love how the moon like shines all over the trees and the buildings and things of that nature. And I love the imagery of when he goes into the hotel and he sits down with Edgar Allan Poe and he's like fixing a clock, if you will, and all the children come out from under there and they tell him that all the children are buried under the house. So there's this imagery, but then when he starts meeting up with the little girl, and then the little girl comes along, it starts to stir up anger within the pastor. So you know that there's something not right there. So on and on, this movie, he deals with these dreams and kind of finds out like, oh, I'm supposed to uncover this mystery, but then he finds out that it's actually the things in his personal life that he hasn't dealt with yet. So I think that there's really great scenes with Val Kilmer and Ben Chaplin where he portrays Edgar Allan Poe, where they talk about the poeticies of death, where they talk about how beautiful it is to write it in a story, and also the scenes where the girl gets back at the dad, where she's not even there and she's like all bloody. It's kind of interesting. So bits and pieces of this movie. This movie's really bad. You know, it's incoherent. It's not very clear. It's bordering so bad it's good. I think it's so bad it's good. Maybe someone else might think differently. But I think that there is some beauty in the scenes and also the performances. I think there is a bit of lag time in the midsection of the movie that kind of loses its gas a little bit. But I do think that there is something to see here. I do think the dreamscapes are really beautiful. I think they're the most impactful thing about the movie itself. I think I love how it looks like ominous and it kind of almost looks like it's black and white, but it's more like gray and black. I think that Edgar Allan Poe, Ben Chaplin's character, really gives some great performances, and also Val Kilmer gives some great performances. And also I think Bruce Dern does a great job, but I think his character is just way too zany in order for it to be a well-produced product. I just feel like his character is just a little bit off, and I think sometimes he gets a little bit annoying. But also, I think that there's great scenes. Like I like the scene where he goes into the morgue and pulls the stake out of her heart, and she's there, you know, all bloody and kind of like conveying something within the dream, like this is what happened to me. So, and also the scene where she's being rescued by the vampire and being, you know, swept away from the pastor who just committed all the murders, which is, you know, her dad, obviously. But there's some interesting scenes where it's so dreamlike, it's so, you know, not well done, but it is well done. It's almost like there's this beauty in this masterful conducting bliss within this movie, but then there's these parts that seem dated, that seem out of place, that don't seem like they have a great flow. But I do think this movie is worth watching at least once. If you just watch it once, don't watch it a bunch of times. I would not put anybody through this a bunch of times. And obviously within the review, you can see how dated, you know, crazy, incoherent, just all over the place this movie is, even with this review and trying to explain it. But I love Val Kilmer's performance at the end. It's beautiful. I love it. I love how it makes him fall on his knees, have a fall from grace, you know, with his alcoholism, and also just the very fact that he has writer's block. So, not to spoil the movie for you guys, but I do think you should just watch it at least once. You know, just at least once. Don't watch it a bunch of times. I would not put anybody through this. It's so bad it's good. It's bad, but it's got some gems there.